Okay, we're up to seven. Let's see Alan here. I think we're going to wait a few more minutes, guys, and see if we get some more people joining us here. Yeah, for those who just joined us, we were talking because Steve Maynard had a presentation due tonight, but he lost power. Um, and so he sent me his presentation that I'll muddle through, but we were wondering if other people might have lost power around town because now we're getting a few people joining us, but normally we have more people by now.
I live in St. Charles and we didn't lose power.
Yeah, Ron, where does Steve live? Is he like Florissant or something?
Olivet or some, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I want to say
A-
somewhere a little
Alan's in
further.
Olivet. I forget, but he's in North County somewhere.
Yeah, I want to say it was kind of near Florissant or something like that. And
Yeah.
so he's had power. He texted us a few hours ago that he didn't have power. So
I have a question.
yeah.
Somebody brought up one day an AI place where you could go, say, for instance, I want to talk to George Washington.
Yeah, my mind's blanking because my son does this program all the time, and I presented it. Now I'm trying to remember. Um, hold on a second, I will tell you. Um, character.ai.
What?
Character.ai.
Character?
Character. Character.ai.
Character.
CHARACTER.ai.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my son loves that program. He's on there all the time talking to having conversations with famous people or fictional characters, and he has a lot of fun with that.
Does
Well, is
it
it
give him really information or is it just a lot of BS?
Well, it's BS, but like the characters have some awareness of who they are. Like it's kind of cool. I recommend you guys checking it out. Um, like if you're talking to George Washington, he'll know through this that he's president, was president of the United States, and like has this information about him. And I don't remember how they do this now and everything, but I know that there are actual teachers who use that like literary characters and stuff in school for kids to do projects with.
Mhm.
So it's pretty cool. Last time I remember, I think my son was having a conversation with Darth Vader.
My
So
gosh.
I tell you though, he can get into that, and all of a sudden he can spend hours just being entertained by this. So um, we're not overloaded tonight. So if you guys want, I can show it to you. In fact, I'm going to go over to it and log in so that I have it later if we want to do that.
While you're doing that, Glenn, I noticed your Formula One hat.
Yes.
Have you seen the movie F1, the movie?
Not yet because I promised my son I was going to take him to it, and we were out of town. So our plan is to go later this week to see it. Have you
Yes.
seen it?
Yeah, we saw it on, my wife and I saw it on Sunday, and we both enjoyed it. It's a very good movie. Very
Good.
good.
I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
yeah.
Yeah, my son who's only 9 is just a he and I are big Formula One fans, so he loves to watch all the races, and um, he just he loves F1. So I thought, well, he might be a little young for the movie, but I know there's language in there and stuff like that, but I don't think that, from what I've gathered, there's too much else. And we watch Drive to Survive, so he hears them in that show all the time with the language.
Yeah, I only recall a couple or maybe three times where an F word showed up.
Yeah. So as I've told him, yes, we know it's a bad word. I don't, we'll still watch the stuff as long as I don't hear you repeating it.
Agree to disagree, huh? I went to I went on vacation one time and the Formula One race was on in I think Miami area.
Yeah.
It was so from blocks away you could hear the frequency. Wham,
Oh, I'm
wham,
sure.
wham. And I said, okay, I'm sticking something in my ears. I don't want to kill my hearing.
I've walked on a Formula One track, but I've never been to an actual race before.
Yeah, this wasn't a race. It was just preparation. Preparation.
Did we lose Alan? I saw him here a few minutes ago.
Oh, really? He's the one that reminded me. Make sure you make there.
His name was on the screen a couple minutes ago, and then I went to log into Character AI, and now he's gone. So hopefully he'll pop back.
Dave, you talk about the noise. Many years ago, I'm talking maybe 50 years ago, a good friend of mine was a Firestone distributor in St. Louis, Lampert Firestone. And he also had a tie-in with Indianapolis. So I was fortunate to be able to go to him to time trials. I went with him to Indianapolis, and we were able to go right down in the pits, behind the pit. We couldn't go in the pit.
Yeah.
And you're right, you almost can go stone deaf all day long, listen to those things. And they are a lot louder than the F1s are.
Well,
I watched an electric F2 race on television a couple of weeks ago.
It was
That was the funniest thing. You hear nothing. You see lights, but you hear nothing.
wow.
the funny thing is F1 has made, because of the change in engines, they're not as loud anymore as they used to be. And fans have complained about it. And so they're probably going to go back to something a little louder because the fans want it. So
They
yeah,
like to destroy their hearing.
take your earplugs. I don't. But we keep losing Alan here. He jumps on and then he's off.
Well, that
Yeah,
was me.
Ron, you notice they have all the children at those races with earphones on.
Yeah, headphones on. I don't think Alan's too far south of where Steve lives, but he seems to have power. So
I see a Francis.
Yeah, that's me.
I just thought of something kind of funny but interesting. Washington University, their track,
Oh yeah,
Francis Field.
Yeah, years ago. I used to get calls at my house for what time the soccer game was starting.
Well,
That's
pretty funny.
Sounds an obscure number, you know.
That's back when we had regular landline,
Yeah.
and we listed in the book.
All right. Well, Ron, do we want to get rolling? I guess hopefully Alan will be back here in a second.
I'll give
Yeah,
it
let's start.
Yeah, Dave, I don't know if he's having a problem over there or what.
He reminded me to come, so
Well, he's jumped on a couple times and then I don't know if he's gotten knocked off or what it is. But like for everybody, most of you heard me say this.
How come you were getting knocked off, or you came on and came off? You having trouble connecting?
Yeah, my computer popped up that there was a things recorded.
Oh,
And I
it's
pushed the
Steve.
button. and it wouldn't let me do anything else until I pushed the button. It wouldn't let me push the button.
Steve,
Steve got his power back.
Rebooting then, okay.
well, how's that for timing, Steve?
Well, they're looking for it.
Back on 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Well, I'm just glad you guys got your power back.
Yeah, we are too.
Yeah,
House
we
is
started.
getting warm.
What?
Did you
That
lose-
and nothing like ruining all your food and everything, right?
Okay. They just asked me, I said, well, I didn't see it come on and off. I came on and off. I was getting ready, things ready. We've
No,
got,
but apparently I needed to update my Zoom.
oh, you're updating Zoom? Okay.
Well, I did. It didn't do it automatically. It usually
No.
tells me if I.
Yeah, okay,
It's
I'll
not
tell
too
you what's
bad.
going on. Bye-bye.
Uh,
He said his updating Zoom required him to update.
Oh, okay. Zoom, this piece of software that has 5 updates every day.
No kidding.
Really? I haven't seen anything for a while.
I actually haven't either, but I've never seen a program that gets updated as much as Zoom gets updated.
People probably try to crash it a lot. Yeah, they're trying to jury rig it, you know. Well, while you got a minute, I just got back from anybody see the thing down at the art museum called
Pompeii?
no. Art museum has got a thing on cars.
Huh.
Roar. I thought, I'll go. But it was pretty decent. It was 1920s to 1940s French Bugattis and stuff like that. Very,
know,
very,
I heard about that. Was it good?
it was good. It was presented really well. The lighting was dramatic, and they had a lot of women's costumes. You know, like the flapper dresses and stuff. They had that lady was from St. Louis. That was the black singer in Europe.
Oh,
Bean Baker.
Josephine Baker.
yes.
They
Yeah,
had
Josephine
they
Baker.
had her car. They had a car that looked like something out of Mickey Mouse. I mean, it was weird. I'll see if I can pull it up.
Well, some of those cars must have been really cool looking. They had some really fancy
Oh.
looking stuff back then.
Yeah, these
Sounds
were
like it
old.
should have been in the
Top
history
line.
museum.
Yeah, well, I guess you could say those cars back then were works of art, though. You know,
Definitely. I'll give you the
So-
last one I was talking about. You guys can see this thing. Let's see.
oh yeah, with the huge.
Oh, yeah.
That does
Yeah.
look like something from that movie with the
Back to the
rabbit.
future.
Oh, Jessica Rabbit.
Jessica Rabbit,
Yeah,
yeah.
rabbit, that's what it looks like, yeah. Well, it has, but my friend said, hey, that's got suicide doors. The hinges open from the front to the rear.
Yeah.
That's better entry. And that was better, you know, you always had the strut that was solid by the windows.
You know, there's some new Italian car maker that has those.
Yeah, I like the gull wings.
Yeah. All right, Ron, we want to get things rolling here.
Yeah, let's do.
Well, I'm just glad we got enough people showing up finally. Steve, before
Steve?
some of you got on, we were sitting here. There was like 4 of us sitting here, and we were debating. Well, maybe we need to cancel the meeting tonight.
Oh,
And
we could sit and talk anyway. Did
And
you
we-
get the file transferred, guys?
the what?
The file from Steve to you?
Oh, I got it, but now he's here. So
You got your power back?
Yeah. Well, duh.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
Getting big batteries.
You asked that for one, Alan.
Well, I thought you could I was thinking you could just use your phone if you weren't doing the presentation. But
I think a light is behind it too.
I know.
Okay, let's start here.
Yeah.
Are we doing the Mouseketeer roll call? Or
Alan,
Cubby?
Ron, did you want to do something, or do you want me to just jump in and
No,
go?
just start.
Okay. I was waiting for you, so I thought you were going to do something. All right. Well, then I will give me a second here. I will get my goodies going for you guys. Okay.
I do say, everybody, that our president is on vacation in, I think it's Wisconsin, but I'm not sure.
Johnson, yeah.
So he's not here tonight.
Some place where they haven't invented Wi-Fi yet. All right.
There.
You guys see it?
Nice view.
I don't know. I was dreaming of the beach when I made this. I can just picture myself with the sound of those waves rolling in, sitting there.
It's like a
Of course,
nice
I say that to my father. He can just go down to the beach and experience that.
As if they're not a tornado.
Yeah.
hurricane
All
down.
right. So the first thing I was going to mention is some interesting stuff about CarPlay Ultra. So Apple, has announced their new generation of CarPlay, and it's called CarPlay Ultra. And so I'm just going to read you a little blurb here. CarPlay Ultra builds on the capabilities of CarPlay and provides the ultimate in-car experience by deeply integrating with the vehicle to deliver the best of iPhone and the best of the car. It provides information for all of the driver's screens, including real-time content, engages in the instrument cluster while reflecting the automaker's look and feel and offering drivers a customizable experience. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but CarPlay Ultra is a little bit controversial because there are some companies that they're not sure that they want to include CarPlay Ultra because they don't want to completely give over their controls on the dash to Apple, because and I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute, but it takes over your whole dashboard. So like I mentioned here, manufacturers such as Audi, Mercedes, Polestar, Renault, and Volvo has said they won't be putting CarPlay Ultra in their cars. They'll still have the regular CarPlay, which is what you all know it now, with just some upgrades to it. But the Ultra part, they're not going to do. And Ford, Nissan, and Jaguar Land Rover have said, well, we might do it, but they haven't really committed to anything yet. And like I said, BMW said we'll use the old CarPlay, but not the Ultra. The ones that are using CarPlay Ultra that we know of so far, Aston Martin already offers it. Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, and Porsche are also planning to use CarPlay Ultra. And let me give you a little look at it here in this little video.
Apple has finally released its next generation of CarPlay, now being called CarPlay Ultra, and will be rolling out today starting with Aston Martin vehicles. Now, if you're an Aston Martin driver, first off, congratulations on all of your success, but also be on the lookout for an update to your vehicle, assuming your car is fitted with the brand's next generation infotainment system. CarPlay Ultra is designed to bring a consistent look and feel to the entire driving experience. It integrates more directly with the vehicle to provide information on all of the driver's screens, featuring real-time content and gauges in the instrument cluster with options for the speedometer, tachometer, fuel gauge, temperature gauge, and so much more. Drivers can also choose to display information from the iPhone, such as maps and media, alongside information from the vehicle, such as advanced driver assistance systems, and even the tire pressure. You can also use any on-screen controls, physical buttons if your car has any, and even Siri to navigate through or operate any of those standard vehicle functions. So you can use this for your built-in radio, the climate controls, and even specific vehicle configurations like audio settings, the driver performance settings. So if you have like a sport mode or a more chill mode that you want to drive in, you can change the handling and more. And all of this can be done with the CarPlay Ultra system. You can add iPhone-style widgets that are configurable, allowing users to get calendar events, weather info, and more all on that main screen. I really like the way this looks, by the way. Super clean, and I would be super interested to see what third-party apps can do with these iPhone-style widgets on the driver dashboard displays. Automakers can still add their own signature look and feel of the brand, but also still have that Apple look throughout. There are tons of different dashboard views in the instrument cluster. So you get this standard Aston Martin gauge cluster, which people would probably want if they're kind of the, car heads out there that want the more natural look and feel. But you can also get more detailed information. You can get a full screen map view, full screen media view, and more. I know a lot of car manufacturers either don't like the idea of another company controlling or taking over the infotainment system and the vehicle functions, but the reality is a lot of these car manufacturers are just terrible at creating good and functional UIs with good design aesthetics. Those are areas that Apple can obviously excel at, and there's a reason why a lot of people won't buy a car without CarPlay or even Android Auto being available, because the software from OEMs is just so bad in these vehicles. So huge kudos to Aston Martin for getting out of their own way, putting the ego aside, and allowing Apple to launch this absolutely beautiful new version of CarPlay that will hopefully convince others to do the same. In fact, we already know that Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, which is all just a bubble of those three brands, will be opting into CarPlay Ultra alongside some of the other brands that might have committed a few years ago, like Audi, Land Rover, and even the more affordable options like Honda, Ford, Volvo, and more. CarPlay Ultra works on any iPhone 12 or later that's running iOS 18.5 or later, and again, we'll be hitting compatible Aston Martin vehicles today and then in the coming weeks. But I also really hope that we start to see some other vehicles and manufacturers jump in on this. I know Mercedes said no, they pulled out, but hopefully they'll add themselves back to the list. Unfortunately, GM, the makers of my current car, which is the Cadillac Lyriq, are ones that think that they can do this better. They have Google built into the car, which is not bad by any means, but it's not as good as having this, in my opinion. I still get CarPlay, but it's probably not going to get CarPlay Ultra, which is a bummer. So I might be looking at my next car having the ability to have CarPlay Ultra, and I'm wondering if you might be doing that too. If you're in the market for a car, are you thinking about getting CarPlay Ultra, or are you fine with regular CarPlay? Do you not care? Let me know in the comments down below. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.
So, I think he makes a good point there. And over the years, I've been frustrated with some of the designs and more recently, some of the, user interfaces that car companies make, because I think they do leave something to be desired. But I also get their point of view, these car makers, that they don't want to just hand over everything to Apple. So, yeah, I can see a little bit of both of that. But for sure, when I buy my next car, I think I probably will look at what are my options. Am I able to get that in a car? I mean, it's not having CarPlay Ultra. It's not the end all be all for me, but I would at least like the option if I want it.
Apple has.
All right. It's interesting. We were talking about the F1 movie a few minutes ago, and I found this interesting article that when they shot this movie, they actually used iPhone parts for custom cameras to better capture the F1 racing scenes. And so I'll just read a little of this to you. When director Joseph Kosinski and cinematographer Claudio Miranda set out to film the upcoming Apple original film F1 the movie, they faced a unique challenge. How could they capture authentic point of view racing footage from inside Formula One cars without compromising the vehicle's precise engineering specifications? The solution required Apple to build something that never existed before, a custom camera module using iPhone components that could withstand the extreme conditions of professional racing, according to a new report. And so were born custom iPhone cameras in F1. Traditional cinema cameras simply can't be mounted on Formula One cars due to the specialized vehicle's strict weight and aerodynamic requirements. While F1 broadcasts use onboard cameras positioned behind the cockpit, that footage is captured at lower resolution with specific color spaces and codecs designed for television, not cinema. Converting broadcast footage to match the visual quality of a major motion picture proved too challenging to be practical. Apple's engineering team responded by creating an entirely custom camera module that looks identical to standard F1 broadcast equipment, but contains iPhone technology at its core, according to Wired. The module had to match the exact weight specifications of the original broadcast camera to avoid altering the car's performance characteristics, a critical requirement in sport where every gram matters. Racing conditions pushed technology to the limits. Apple engineers had to ensure their iPhone-based camera could survive extreme shock, vibrations, and heat. The company conducted extensive testing and reports that their module actually exceeded the durability specifications provided by Formula One. The module ran iOS, but featured custom firmware specifically designed for the camera application. Apple's ProRes lossless video codec captured videos in log format. That produces flat-looking footage, providing editors with maximum flexibility for color grading and visual matching with other film elements. So it's kind of cool to think that they, basically took a modified iPhone and did this, and that it stood up to all the conditions, like they said, the shock, vibrations, and heat in these cars. So it makes me think my phone can take a little bit of a beating and still keep working.
Ticking.
Yeah, as there was a Timex, takes a lick, keeps on ticking. All right. Security codes you asked to receive via text leave your accounts vulnerable. So I was recently reading an article about this, and I don't know how many of you have done this. I've done this a bunch of times where you'll get, like, you're trying to log into something and it wants to send you a login to like as a second thing to double check it's who you say you are, and you can have it sent to your email or text. Well, I always have it sent via text because, well, that's easier than me having to go into my email. It's a lot quicker. But now, according to this article, this is actually a vulnerability. So again, I'll read for you. Do you receive login security codes for your online accounts via text message? These are the 6 or 7-digit numbers sent via SMS that you need to enter along with your password when trying to access your bank accounts, health records, online photos, and more. This type of security is known as multi-factor authentication, MFA, and is designed to keep your account secure even if someone knows your password. Without the additional security code, bad actors can't gain access to your data, or at least that's the idea. It's increasingly becoming evident that security codes sent by text message may leave our data less secure than we thought. Fortunately, there are other more secure ways to keep your account safe. Here's why it's probably a good idea to stop using SMS for your security codes and what you can use instead. Bloomberg and Lighthouse Reports just released an alarming report revealing that some of the most prominent tech companies recommending that users enable multi-factor authentication, including Amazon, Google, and Meta, have used third-party companies to send their security codes to users via text. Some of these third-party companies have been linked to institutions in the surveillance industry and even government spy agencies. Additionally, some of the security codes that these third-party companies were responsible for transmitting have been associated with data breaches of individuals' accounts. Worse, the intermediaries operating in this space do so with little oversight from their tech giant clients or regulators. And Bloomberg and Lighthouse Reports piece isn't the first to warn about the vulnerability that text and security codes expose users to. In December, the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency issued a warning to the public, urging people to migrate away from receiving security codes via text. Do not use SMS as a second factor for authentication, the CISA memo warned. SMS messages are not encrypted. A threat actor with access to a telecommunication provider's network who intercepts these messages can read them.
What are we supposed to do?
Thankfully, plenty of websites offer a more secure way to receive security codes via an authenticator app. Simply put, an authenticator app is an application that resides on your phone or computer, storing all the various security codes for your online accounts that have multi-factor authentication enabled. The code for each account in the authenticator app is unique and it changes every 30 seconds. When you need to log into a site that you have set up with multi-factor authentication, you'll be prompted to enter your security code, which can be found in your authenticator app. And since these authenticator app codes always reside on your device, they can never be intercepted in transit because they are never sent to you in the first place. Regardless of whether you use Windows, Mac, iPhone, or Android, you have numerous authenticator apps to choose from. These include Apple's own Passwords app, Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, LastPass Authenticator, and more. Sorry, guys, I know this is getting long, but I thought it was pretty interesting information.
I've
So
been
that,
avoiding
How do
changing.
you use how do you use the passwords app for that?
well, you know, I haven't really tried it, so I don't know yet. I was just reading this the other day. Let me continue here. While
Sure.
authenticator apps are vastly more secure than text messages for getting your security codes, the safest login method no longer relies on codes or even passwords at all. I'm referring to passkeys, the passwordless login technology spearheaded by the FIDO Alliance, a consortium of tech companies including Amazon, Apple, Dell, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NTT, Samsung, and others. Passkeys are cryptographically complex from a technology perspective, but easy to use from a consumer perspective. When you add a passkey for one of your online accounts, you get one digital key saved to your device, and the website gets a matching key. When you log into the website, the passkeys must match. Otherwise, you won't get access to the account. You verify that you're the true holder of your passkey by confirming your identity with your biometrics, a facial or fingerprint scan right from your phone or laptop. Passkeys can't be phished or guessed. And if one of your passkeys were stolen and put on someone else's device, it wouldn't work either. That's because the thief couldn't fool the passkey into thinking they were you, since they don't have your face or fingerprint. And because passkeys don't require any alphanumeric input authentication, such as security codes, there's no code you need to worry about either. Passkeys are also synced to the cloud via your device's password manager. So if you lose your device, you can quickly regain access to all of your passkeys from your, for example, Apple or Google account. If your accounts don't support passkeys, yet you should still enable multi-factor authentication. Just remember to opt to receive your security codes via an authenticator app rather than a text message. And I think, yeah, that was just this article. As for how you use it with Apple passwords, I don't know exactly, but I think it automatically does it when you have stuff stored in passwords. But I don't know. This is something I've got to play with. Like I said, I just found this the other day and added this to my presentation because I thought it was something we should all know about. Because, like I said, for a while now, I've just been, send the code via text. I get it. And boom, it's real simple. So, this is kind of telling us that that's not real secure. So I'm going to try to do some more research into this and how to use like Apple Password to do this. So when I find out more, I'll try to report back to you guys, or if you find out more, let us know.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen things that ask, do you want to set up a pass key? And I go, I don't know. Should I?
Here's my problem. Passkeys are your best way to go, evidently. But my problem with passkeys is that it's great if I'm logging in on, say, my laptop here on this device. But if all of a sudden I want to try to log in from a different device because I need to get to something and I'm not on that device that has the passkey, you can't do it. So let's say I'm not home or I'm somewhere else and I want to use a different computer, then I'm not able to do it. So I've kind of battled with passkeys a little bit. In fact, there's one or two accounts I got so frustrated I got rid of it. But from what I understand of what they say here, that's your best way to go because it's not using a password.
It's assuming you have your phone with you all the time.
Well, yeah, but so that's the problem. If you're not trying to use your device, you're not going to be able to get in. It's not like, oh, I just remember my password. I can go to this, other person's computer and I can log in.
Yeah, you have to go to the library and want to log in at their computers to use your library card. And you need to log into your iCloud account to get a file. That's where I print from now because I don't like, and so I had into the iCloud account.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, that'd be great unless you were using if you wanted to log in like at the library to something and you're using, the pass key. Well, I don't think that would work.
No.
So, but
So
it's more secure. All right. So, speaking of passwords, change your old passwords easily. Many of us set a password and then leave it and continue to use it for a long time without changing it. I don't know about you guys, but I know I'm guilty of this where I might have a password set on something and like, unless it forces me to change it, or for some reason I'm seeing there's a problem with it, I may not even think to change it. And so, but it's important to do that to change it on an occasional basis for security. The more often you change it, the more secure you're probably going to be. The problem is then you got to remember the damn thing. Um, so recently, you guys heard there was a leak of over 16 billion records. I know that was in the news a few weeks ago, and it seems like data leaks are constant now. So anyway, as I have says here, it's always a great opportunity to stop procrastinating and change old passwords or ones that your passwords app tells you've been compromised. And here's how you do this. And by the way, you can check in Apple passwords; it'll tell you which ones are compromised. But man, it seems like I've always got like hundreds of things in there, a ton of them. It's like it's just tedious to start going through those.
I have a question.
Yeah.
A huge leak of over 16 billion records. How did
Yes.
these passwords get leaked? It almost makes me think that somebody was using some cloud-based password storage services and that some of those got breached.
I can't answer that. You'd have to look out, and maybe more information has come out about it. I just remember last month this came out that there were, this huge leak. I didn't really research it to find out if they know how it was leaked.
I
So,
actually have refused to store my passwords online, never online. In fact, I use something called KeyPass that I learned about at work that creates an encrypted file on your own hard disk, and you can copy that file among your own devices as you wish. However, it means I'm responsible for knowing which device has the latest version of the file, but it's not synchronized in any way.
Well, I know
okay.
last year I was compromised with my name and social security number, Medicare number, because they stole it from the Social Security office, their files. That can be a lot of people.
Yeah.
So Social
Yeah.
Security files had a breach before Musk and Doge got in.
Oh yeah, they did.
There have been tons of breaches in government agencies. So,
Right.
yeah. Yeah. I guess the bottom line is once you put things online, there's nothing that's
There's nothing
foolproof
you can do
secure.
about it. No.
Yeah. I mean,
So you're
unfortunately, it's
saying
the
these
electronic
16
world we live
billion
in.
passwords may have been leaked directly from the services that they're for?
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know. I don't know where it came from. You'd have to do some more research on that, Terry. Like I said, I didn't take the time to really research all of this.
Probably several different ones, but I mean, if you leak a good section of Amazon, you're going to get a lot of people.
Yeah, no, for sure. All
I
right. So anyway,
I
oh, go ahead.
I just have a suggestion. I got this a little book from the campus bookstore that had it, and I don't know what they titled it. It was some goofy name, but all it does is that you put in manually with your pen and paper. You put down the passwords, etc., what accounts are for, etc., and I store it in it's an equivalent of what we have as a safe. And I had my wife put down all of her passwords and accounts, et cetera, that she used, and then we keep it up to date and we keep it locked up. It is low tech, but if somebody, something happens to me, uh, they can go to that and they know they have access to my accounts and my email, etc. Uh, it is kind of a pain, but the thing is, it's very small and it fits nicely in the safe. But the whole idea is something happens to me, they can go and find access to everything that they need to go. I mean, it's uh, to me, it just was a simple solution. Yes, I could go and get an app and store all of our passwords, et cetera, into that. But I like this other one better because number one, my wife is not high tech. And if something happens to me, I wanted to make it as easy as possible for her. We're gonna get a new stove on Friday, and I'm just eagerly awaiting the 1,000 questions she's gonna hammer me with about how to do this, how to do it. And this thing has got evidently has Wi-Fi on it too, so I'm gonna have to find a way to make sure that's locked down because I don't want anybody from Indonesia, changing my, stove
They might
temperature.
hack you and burn your dinners.
Yes, and then we'll have to blame it on the stove when it's not that. So
You
that's
know,
all I had to say.
it's funny. It's funny you bring that up because my wife likes everything on paper and she has all these filing cabinets with folders and files of stuff. And me, I put everything in electronic form. And so we sort of laugh about it that, if one of us dies, the other one's not going to know how to handle like her files. I don't know what I can never figure out the organization system and where things are. She has to get it for me. And then she's like, well, I'll never know how to get your stuff. But it's not a bad idea. It's a little tedious what you're doing to keep it all up and everything. And but it is an interesting, a good safeguard, I guess.
Yeah.
Charles, your password book won't solve two-factor authentication problems. You have your password and they're still going to send you something.
Oh yeah, they
That's
probably will, but that's okay. If she uses it, then they'll send her one, and hopefully the phone will be there. My phone will be there. Now, I've been helping a 95-year-old gentleman with his computer problems, and he has email access to the university, and his health is not good. He's had some strokes, and what happens is again it's two-factor authentication, and but he would be totally clueless as to how to get back into his email. So I sat there and I walked him through it, and I just went ahead and made sure that everything worked, got him in, got the code came back, I had to enter that, and in he went, and we see in about a month or so they usually kick him out and require him to re-log in, and I understand that, but it is a struggle for people, especially for older people, especially, as I said, he's 95, so I don't know how much longer because his health is not good. How much longer he'll be doing this? But yes, that two-factor authentication it works nicely if you know how to figure out what the university requires you to have on your phone, so that way you can, because it's not just sending you a text message; it's sending you something through Duo, and you've got to be, and you only have so many minutes to respond to get that code, and then the system lets you in. It's kind of as I said, and they're locking more and more stuff down at the university. Of course, right now they're scared to death because of what Trump is doing, and they're canceling projects all over the place. Anything that's involving spending lots of money is on hold or canceled because of because they've just increased the taxes on their endowment from like 1.5% to 4 or 5%. So it's going to cost them, I think, $60 million every year now for their to pay their taxes on the endowment. They are not happy. So
It's hard for me to feel sorry for some of these universities that sit on billions of dollars of endowment.
They only have 12 billion. Come on, that's not like Harvard at 53 billion.
Anyway, by the way, all this stuff about, I'm going to get back to this passwords thing, but I could foresee within 5 to 10 years that we won't be using passwords at all. I mean, I think that most of the tech companies, and that's the whole thing with passkeys, are trying to move us out of using passwords.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll be in a completely different environment. And like I said, in the next 5 to 7 to 10 years. Anyway,
biometric.
let me get back to this and continue along here. So if you open, the Apple Passwords app you can do it on your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac. You'll see a list of all your passwords, and if you look under the security tab, and it's the one with the little red symbol with the exclamation point, you're going to see a list of passwords that are known to be compromised. And so, like I said, I often look in here and I will find dozens, if not more than 100 of them that are. And so what you do is you can click on any one of these that's compromised. And when you click on that security tab, you'll see the list. Click on the one that might be compromised you want to change, and you'll get another screen there where you'll see a blue button and it'll say change password. And then it'll either prompt you through the Passwords app, or you'll be taken to that specific website to make your password change. And then once you make that change, the new password is accessible across your devices through your iCloud account. So the ones that you can do straight through the Passwords app are much easier, because otherwise it takes you out to the website and then you're just kind of doing it on the website as normal. But because you've done it through the Passwords app, it automatically knows you're updating it and will save those. So then they'll all be in iCloud. So I would recommend not sitting there and going, oh my God, I have 450 passwords that are compromised, and try to have a session of changing all of them, because that would be pretty tedious. But you might just occasionally look at that on your phone and see what you've got. And, some things I'm not really worried about it because it's not a very important account to me. But like if it's a financial account or, things that are more important like that, you might kind of look at those and say, okay, yeah, if I see it's compromised, I need to change those. So it's not a bad idea. Maybe like, I don't know, once a month or something to go in there and look at it. So I've been considering lately just setting a reminder for, once every month to look in there and see, oh, do I have some things that I really want to update? So it's pretty easy to do once you start doing this, though. All right. So anybody still using an Intel Mac? Because if you are, it's about to become a dinosaur. Apple will soon end another era as it prepares to kick legacy Intel-based Macs to the curb. While this year's Mac OS Tahoe 26 release will still support a few Intel Macs, it's Apple Silicon or bust after this one. So once we get past Mac OS 26, supposedly, you're not going to be able to run any new updates on that because they won't be supported if you don't have a Silicon Mac. In addition to every Silicon Mac, of course, you'll be able to install Tahoe on the 2020 MacBook Pro, the 2020 iMac, the 2019 Mac Pro, and the 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro. So you'll at least be able to run Tahoe on those. And after that, well, then you're kind of on your own with that. Now, Apple has said it'll continue offering security updates for Mac OS 26 for at least 3 years after this. So if you're still running an Intel Mac and you load Tahoe on there, you'll at least be able to get security updates for 3 years, even if you can't, get, the new features on them and things like that. And I noticed this little blurb in this article that I got this from. While Apple plans to drop support for Intel hardware, the small silver lining is that Intel software will continue to live on for another year. Rosetta 2, the translation environment that Apple put into Mac OS Big Sur to ease us into Apple Silicon in 2020, will live on until 2027. So, all right, there is a new browser out there, and it's different. It's very different than a traditional browser. It's called the Data Surf browser, a browser that organizes, finds, remembers, types, and organizes so you can think. Data Surf is a browser and a notebook that puts the web and more to work for your next idea. So, like I said, it's a new kind of browser, and their idea is that it'll serve more like a research notebook than a traditional browser, and you can create separate spaces where you can store information and research about a specific title, so a topic. So let me show you a little bit of this here.
Hey, today I'm going to show you why Surf browser is different. Alright, so we've all been here. You got an idea, you want to write something, but nothing. The page stays empty and you don't know where to start. Usually before writing, you're researching, gathering links, PDFs and videos about a topic. But if you ask a regular AI to help you overcome the struggle, you get some generic fluff that doesn't really move you forward. Nothing is in context. And this is where Surf notes come in. Surf actually knows what I've been reading, what I care about, and helps me shapes my thoughts. It pulls in all my saved articles, PDFs, and research, so I don't have to start from scratch anymore. It also knows exactly where the information comes from, whether it's an exact timestamp in a YouTube video, a specific section of an article, or the right page in a PDF. And this is a big shift. I'm not just getting AI generated text anymore. I'm working with sources that I actually trust. You can do this with your tabs, everything you save, or even pull in references directly from Wikipedia. Last time we talked about Surf as a way to find information. Now it actually helps you create. It's not just about answering questions, it's giving you something real to work with. And this idea, turning what you collect into something you can work with, goes even further with Surflets. They're not just widgets, they're little apps that you can create without writing a single line of code. Like I built this to-do list because I wanted to one that actually works the way I think, or this little habit tracker, and this, my own time zone checker for SF in Berlin, so I always know what time it is for Max, who is currently there. But Surflets aren't just for small utilities, they're a game changer for learning. Like here, I was reading about the solar system and instead of writing a note, I built this. A 3D model that I can interact with right within my notes, or this clock I tweaked to show how long a day lasts on Mars compared to Earth. It's one thing to read about it, but actually seeing it, that's different. Or take coding. I'm trying to teach myself how a for loop works. I don't just read the explanation. I build it right in here in a way that makes sense to me. And this is the big idea. Surf isn't trying to automate your life and order stuff on the internet for you. It's here to help you think, to explore, to follow your curiosity, and actually create something with it. It's a browser that helps you do more than just consume. So yeah, go try it. See what you can make.
So Surf is very different, and it's like you put these little collections together of things on any given topic, and it'll store all of the stuff together. It's almost hard to explain. Like you got to kind of give it a try. And so I recommend just downloading and playing with it a little bit. But it's very different. I mean, you can still ask any question you want to the browser or go browse anything you want, but it's almost more for collecting data or information about something than it is just to go say, oh, well, I want to go to CNN or I want to go to ESPN or whatever. So it's different. And like I said, the best thing you can do is try it out for yourself and see if you like it. So, just go to data.surf. And I'll show you this other little thing as well.
Arc, Zen, Firefox, Chrome. The browser wars are heating up like never before. But what if I told you there's a new contender that's about to change everything we know about web browsing? Meet Surf, the brand new browser that's making waves in an already crowded space. And before you think, oh great, another browser, trust me, this isn't just another Chrome clone or Arc competitor. This is a complete reinvention of how we should interact with the modern web. You've seen Arc browser shake things up with its sidebar approach. You you've watched Firefox champion privacy and Chrome dominate with its ecosystem. Even Zen browser came in with its minimalist take, but Surf is doing something entirely different. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why Surf might be the most exciting browser innovation since Arc shook up the scene. And believe me, you're going to want to see this. But before we dive in, let me show you something that blew my mind when I first opened Surf. And this is the home screen feature. Now on home screen, you can pretty much find whatever you were searching for and pinned on the home screen. And on the home screen, you can pretty much pin the YouTube videos like you can see here, where I search for the classic vanilla cake recipe. Now, if I click on this, this will redirect me to the YouTube. However, here I also have some of the articles on Google as well as the PDFs, and you can also pin the images as you can see where I search for the best tennis rackets. Let's say I want to get into the running and I want to create a specific folder, or in Surf they call it contexts, specifically related to the running shoes. Now here on the left you will see open my stuff, and here you can pretty much find whatever you've saved to the Surf browser, like the images, articles, even the notes here. And overall I think this is very well organized. However, you can also create a context which acts similar as a folder. Now let's say if you want to create a specific context based on the running shoes, you will simply click on plus here and then you will enter your context name. Here I will call it running shoes, and then here down below you can also describe your context and stuff will be auto-fetched. So you can, for example, auto-fetch YouTube videos, all my images, or every PDF. However, I will only click create here, and now we have this context which is empty. We can simply fill it up with the new Google search. And now this is our home screen. However, you can also change the home screen by changing the context. On the left, you can see simply the context. We are currently on the home screen. However, you can change this to the running shoes as we created it before. Now you can put whatever you like here from your stuff already, which are the links and the images here. I would like to try something else and add stuff completely fresh to this home screen related to the running shoes. So here I'll click on new tab and search for best running shoes in 2025. So make sure that you have the right context selected here. However, you can always go back to the desktop by clicking here, or you can go to your home screen, which is by default. And now let's go here, for example, to this first website, and you can simply put it here to the context of the running shoes. So just like this, save to active context. Now we can go back to the previous website and add this website as well, for example, just like this. And if you find, for example, an image which is very interesting, or the video, you can simply click on the video just like so and do the same thing by clicking this button right here. Now let's search for the images as well here. So I will add, let's say, an image of these shoes right here. I will click on save image, and this should save the image to this specific context. And now you can go here, view desktop, which is pretty empty, right? So you can click on open my stuff here and go under the running shoes. And now you can simply drag every single item or select it just like so and put it here to the desktop. Here I have the image. We can also open the stuff and add, let's say, this website or this YouTube video. And then let's go here and add this website. And this is how you can organize the Surf browser depending on the context or the folders. Now here you can also see this option which is called chat. Now you can also ask about this. So active context here, which is running shoes, and you can ask, for example, ChatGPT, or if you want, you can also change this to the Claude if you prefer it. So here I will ask ChatGPT which are the best running shoes for 2025, all built inside this browser. And this will search through the active context, which is running shoes, where I have every single stuff about the running shoes inside here, links and YouTube videos as well as images. Now here you can see here that we have the first recommendation, which is this shoe, and we also have the price, weight and drop. So every single cool feature of the shoe. And we can also ask here this chat, which shoe do you recommend for people who would like to start running? And here this will search this same context, and here we have first recommendation, which is Nike Pegasus 41, which only costs this much compared to the first recommendation, which I think is for the professionals. So this is how you can also use this new chat feature built inside the Surf browser. And you can see also here one similarity to the Arc browser, which are how you can actually go through through the tabs which are here on the left. You can also click this button and this will hide this sidebar. Serve has also one additional feature compared to the Arc, and this is to have the tabs in the horizontal mode similar to the Chrome browser as well as Firefox. So you can go pretty much here to the settings of the Serve browser, and if you go here under the appearance, you can change this to the horizontal, and now we can see what these tabs look like here on top of the screen. However, I must admit I do prefer the tabs on the vertical mode. Now you can also change the mode of the browser to the dark if you prefer it so. And here, if I go under the general, and if you want to check out this browser, I will leave my invite link in the video description below so you guys can try it out. And please let me know in the comment section if you have actually tried this browser out. You can also see that you have the AI provider. Now here I have this set to OpenAI. However, you can also change this to Claude by Anthropic, and you can also add your own custom provider as well. I must admit I do prefer the ChatGPT. However, I know many people prefer also Claude from the Anthropic as well. And here you can also see the input tokens usage as well as the output tokens as well. Now we already went through the appearance, and now here we also have the experiments. Now here we have live contacts, we go wild mode, or we even have the automatic picture in picture mode. And then here on the last option, we have advanced features like use semantic search, show annotations in my stuff, save downloads to system downloads folder, auto generate chat prompts, auto tag images with AI, always include screenshots in chat as well as desktop. Now this is pretty much it about this browser. However, let me also show you on which engine this browser is actually running. If I go here on this website, whatismybrowser.com, you can simply see this browser is indeed running on the Chromium engine, and this is Chrome 132, and I think this is the latest release as of recording this video. So yeah, this is pretty much the Chromium browser, and you guys can expect the similar usage of resources compared to the Chrome as well as the Arc browser. Now, one interesting thing about this browser as well is that you cannot actually install any extensions on it. So I think this should definitely be added in the future releases of this browser to add some kind of an ad blocker, add other extensions as well from the Chrome Web Store. And maybe this is something that can be enabled or disabled inside the Chromium engine. Now, overall, I'm quite happy with this browser. And if you guys haven't already, you guys can click the invite link in.
All right, I'm going to stop that there. But you can see this browser is very different, and it's really more about organizing your information by subject matter. And like I said, it's something that's, you can see what he's doing. He's moving pretty fast. I just recommend, just download it and give it a try, see if it's something you like. But it's very interesting, and it's very different from just a traditional browser.
Arc.
All right. I don't know how many of you use Mac keyboard shortcuts, but I originally came across this article from Cult of Mac about shortcuts come in handy, and I thought I'd share this with you up here. So, if you're sitting at your computer and you think you might want to use these, I would recommend just doing a quick screenshot to take these. I'll leave these up for a second, because there's some really interesting ones. Like I know when I'm not going to go through this whole list with you guys, but there are so many shortcuts out there that I noticed. Like when I look through these, there are a few that I'm like, oh, I didn't actually know that one. That's kind of cool. Like right there near the top, Option Command H. I didn't know that one. That'll hide everything else but what I'm working on. Sometimes if your desktop gets over cluttered and you got a lot of things going on, you can hide everything else except for what you're working on, for instance. I like also the one there at the bottom of that first section, Command Comma. I like to use that one because it'll open the settings for any app. So I don't have to go up to the menu and open the settings. Just hit Command Comma and boom, your settings are open for that app. So I think that's pretty handy. So like I said, there's all kinds of cool ones. The second section is some Mac OS Sequoia ones. So I'm about to change this screen. I mean, we'll have the video of this, but if you want to take a screenshot, do it now, and then I'm going to change this. I'll give you a second. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch. There's also some shortcuts for like text input here. For instance, if you want to see what all the emojis are, if you hit Control Command Space, that'll open your emoji panel there, and you can see all the emojis. Or if you want to, change your fonts and things like that, Command T will open up the font panel for you to work in. So anyway, just there's all kinds of cool keyboard shortcuts out there that you might not know. So again, if you want to take a screenshot of that. And then here are some more as well that go for like system keyboard stuff, and like you can adjust your volume and things. So again, I'll give you guys a second to screenshot any of these, and you might find some stuff that you might be really something you'll want to use.
Too many choices.
Well, that's the thing, Alan. There are so many of them. That's why I said take a screenshot and kind of, you'll have that. And you can just pick a few, because I don't know about you guys, but I find with shortcuts, I'll never remember them unless I'm constantly using them, And so start with a few ones that you don't know, that you've never used, that might be helpful to you. And if you just start using those couple, okay, now you'll start to remember those and just add them in gradually. Because like you said, there are a ton of them. Here's one for folders and stuff. And if you don't know what all these little symbols mean, here's the little key for symbols. And by the way, if I go back here real quick, went too far. You can see here on this first page, if you take a screenshot, I've got the address, the web address for this article that was on Cult of Mac that was about this. So if you capture that web address, even though it's a pain to type all that in, you would have it there. Also, Apple has its own shortcuts support page. So that kind of got truncated a little bit there. It's hard to read, but if you go onto Apple support, they've got a whole article about shortcuts as well. So you can probably spend the next 6 months trying to memorize all these shortcuts that you might want to use. Okay. And if that's not enough, I have seen out there little stickers, like clear stickers that are made to put on your, like this is for a MacBook Pro to put next to your trackpad right there. And I've seen these like on Etsy and eBay and Amazon, and you can just put that right on your computer right there. It sits next to your trackpad. And I thought that was pretty clever when I first saw these a few years ago. And, it'll just have all kinds of things. You can just look down at those stickers and there you go. All right, couple of cool products real quick. Spigen has come out with a charger for your Apple Watch, but it looks like an old iMac G3. And so I thought, well, that's kind of cool. You can even pick from different colors, by the way. The only thing that sucks about it is they don't include the watch charger. So they include the stand, but you got to have your own watch charger there, and you can see how it fits through that. And then you just put the watch on it. So, if you're nostalgic for that old iMac G3 that you might have had, there you go. And it's $19.99, and you can get that on Amazon.
I've got one for the original Mac that I charge my watch with.
Oh, do you? Okay, cool.
I still have a G3 iMac if you want. Still works.
Charge your watch.
No.
The other interesting product I came across is the Moft Dynamic Folio for iPad. And the best I can describe this thing, it's like an origami iPad case. And it depending on the size you choose, it's between $39 and $69. But here's this little quick video, shows you all the different configurations. I think that's one of the most interesting cases I have seen in a long time. And you could pretty much get into about any configuration you want there. So that was the first thing I thought of when I saw this case. It's like, or it's the origami case, is what I thought. So I thought that was
Very,
pretty cool.
very original.
Yeah.
And very quilty.
All right. There you go, guys. Let me stop my share. So those are my goodies for you this month.
Cool.
To do more on the passkey thing. That was the most important thing.
Well, I definitely think that's worth taking a look at. And, I'm looking more and more at that as well. And, trying to figure out better ways to do all that. So,
yeah.
Steve, they're probably tired of me talking. You want to do your thing next?
Do. Let me get set up.
All right.
Get my notes. Sharing screen. There. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I've got a bunch of stuff blocking my screen. Let's ought to get that out of the way. Well, I lost my notes.
I've got them now, Steve.
Okay, I got it there. All right. I'm going to tell you about my experience with AirTags recently. Okay, first of all, you remember the James Bond movie where Q gave 007 a homing beacon for the heel of his shoe? Homing beacons are a reality now. My cousin and his wife returned from a trip to California. They live in Florida, and the shuttle driver went off and left one of their bags on the curb. Bob had an AirTag in his suitcase, and he was able to tell exactly where it was. Of course, the shuttle driver says, no, I got all the bags. And Bob said, it's on the curb there at the terminal. So they went flying back to the terminal, and by some miracle, it was still sitting there, but he was able to track it down.
Oh, miracle.
So my wife and I traveled recently, and I decided to get some AirTags too, thanks to my cousin. And all during that trip, except for when my phone was in airplane mode, I was able to keep track of where our luggage was at all times. So this presentation is on what I've learned about these very handy devices. And I'm trying. There it goes. Here's what I'll cover. I'll describe the AirTags themselves and the batteries they take. I'll cover what they cost.
Keto.
I'll describe how they work and how to set them up. I'll show a few useful accessories. I'll talk about safety and security concerns that some people have about AirTags and the measures Apple has taken to address those concerns. An AirTag is about 1¼ inches in diameter and 3/10 of an inch thick, and it weighs 1/3 of an ounce. So it's a little bigger than a quarter, and it weighs about the same as a sheet of typing paper. AirTags can be bought singly or in 4-packs, and it pays to shop around. Apple charges $29 for a single and $99 for a 4-pack. Apple may be more expensive, but they offer free engraving if that's important to you. I got mine from Amazon. A single is $23 and a 4-pack is $75. And by the way, I had a problem with one of the AirTags, and I called Amazon and they replaced it for free. So,
hey, Steve, let me just mention while you're saying that right now, Amazon has Prime Days going on.
Good point.
I think you can get a 4-pack. I think I heard for like $65 or $69, something like that. So,
well, crap.
and by the way, before I let Steve continue, there's a whole bunch of, I've been seeing all week, Apple stuff that's real discounted for Prime Days. So if you're in the market for anything, you might check that out.
Good point. Thank you. The battery. AirTags run on a CR2032 cell battery. It's often called a coin battery or a button battery. After you activate an AirTag, the battery will last about a year. When it quits working, you do not need to replace the AirTag. The metal side of the AirTag unscrews to expose the battery compartment, and you can put a new one in. I shopped around and I saw a 4-pack of these batteries for $5. Now let's talk about how to add an AirTag to your Apple account. You want to do them one at a time. Don't do the whole 4-pack at once. Setting it up is easy. First, be sure Bluetooth and location services are on and your iPhone is connected to the internet. And note that link I have down here at the bottom. It goes into more detail and explanation if you need that. Each AirTag comes with a little plastic strip that insulates the battery. You pull out that strip and the AirTag makes a little chirp, indicating that it is live. The Find My app should already be on your phone. Bring the AirTag close to your phone and a prompt will appear to guide you through setup. Your phone will ask you to connect. You can give your AirTag a name, such as Steve's suitcase. You can even select an emoji. I picked one that actually looks like a suitcase. You tap continue, then finish. And then open the Find My app on your phone. Select the items tab at the bottom and you'll see the location of your AirTag on the map. This is the interesting part. AirTags take advantage of that vast number of smartphones that are all around us at any time. Those phones unwittingly form a mesh network. An AirTag uses Bluetooth to connect that network and it transmits its location to your phone over the internet. All those phones that are part of the network are not affected and their locations are not revealed. Incidentally, the current range of Bluetooth is about 35 feet, and there is a new version of Bluetooth 5.0 that's coming out. It has a range of 1,300 feet. So the technology is getting better. People have come up with some very inventive ways to use AirTags. The most common way is in a suitcase, in a wallet, a purse, a laptop bag, or on a key ring. Do you have a pet that likes to run off? Well, attach an AirTag to his collar. Some parents like to track their child's location. I read about an elderly mother with dementia who liked to go for walks, but she'd get lost. So her daughter sewed an AirTag into her clothing. You can place an AirTag in abandoned property, and a trespasser with a smartphone will cause the device to send you an alert. And visually impaired users can use VoiceOver to receive directions to misplaced items. It's like an audible homing beacon. Oops, one more. If your car does not have a locate vehicle feature, put an AirTag in it in case your car is ever stolen or if you just forget where you parked.
Doesn't that's something they check whenever you steal a car? They have sensors for checking for AirTags, and they will find it and remove it. That's what I've heard.
They would have to have that AirTag paired with their phone.
No. If you have an AirTag with you that isn't yours, it will show up on these.
Oh, I'm going to get into that in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Accessories. If you get an AirTag, you may want to get a holder, depending on where you plan to use it. For a few dollars, you can catch an AirTag. You can attach an AirTag to your keychain, slip one into a credit card slot in your wallet, or attach one to the collar of a pet. I also saw holders with an adhesive surface, though I just used packing tape to stick my AirTag inside the lining of my suitcase. Now we'll get into safety concerns. News media have reported stories of stalkers slipping AirTags into people's belongings and then tracking them. Apple has been sued for not making AirTags safe enough. Well, the company came up with a way to detect a nearby AirTag that does not belong to you. This slide shows how to set up an iPhone. It's not as complicated as it looks. In fact, you've probably done most of these steps already. Everything is done in settings. So go to gamug.org and open up this slide, and you can go through it like a checklist to make sure everything is working. Once you have your phone set up, it will detect an AirTag that doesn't belong to you and is moving with you. You will not get an alert in a crowded area because there may be a large number of AirTags nearby. But if the same unfamiliar AirTag is persistently nearby, then you will get a notification and an audible alert that says AirTag found moving with you. An iPhone will also detect trackers that are not AirTags. And to address Alan's comment, if you put an AirTag in an empty property and somebody with a smartphone walks in, you will get the alert immediately. They will not get this alert for several minutes. In fact, it may be even a few hours. So you would find out they are there before they would know your AirTag is there.
I was really referring to people that tag cars and take them, and they look for the AirTags with a device on a phone.
Yep.
I don't think they have to wait hours for that if they have special. They just have to notice the communications protocol on it.
It did not define the time. I think it depends on circumstances. Like if you're in a busy airport, there's going to be a lot of AirTags walk by you all the time.
Charlie.
I know, but
is there a comment?
I don't know.
Like a dog.
I think Ron's got a cat problem.
He's got a cat problem.
Yeah, Ron's
Okay.
talking about
Ignore me. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, we love cats.
And again, there is a link down at the bottom that goes into more detail and will address concerns. So that's everything that I covered. I think that AirTags are a great product. They're practical and they're easy to use. So any questions, comments, concerns?
No, I think they're good.
I just looked it up, by the way. Right now, you can get a 4-pack on Amazon for $65. So if you're
bucks, except we went traveling 2 weeks ago, and I wouldn't have.
Yeah, I think there's probably all, and there are a lot of articles I've seen out there of creative uses for them and creative devices, like he was mentioning, that you can buy to pair with them. I think I was telling Steve, I don't remember what, like I read a story about, I've seen a few different stories of mothers with small children who have like sewn them into their kids' shoes or whatever. And one funny story was, I guess the kids got their shoes mixed up at school. And so the mother, was seeing on her AirTag that her kid was going to some other household. So I've seen all kinds of interesting stories about AirTags and their uses, and you guys can find a lot of things out there. Because at first, for me, I was always like, why? What do I want these for? I'm like, it just doesn't seem like something I'd use. And I think probably the most common use, is the first thing that Steve talked about, where you talked about like putting in your bags and stuff, like when you go on vacation, so you can track. And I can't tell you how many news stories I've read where somebody's saying, yeah, I was having an argument with the airlines. They said they couldn't find my bag. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you exactly where it's at. The AirTag was finding it for them. So,
I was sitting on an airplane before they told us to shut off our phones. I checked Find My, went down to items, And I saw, okay, here's where I'm sitting, and the AirTag is about 50 feet away. I said, okay, my bags are coming with me.
Got your back.
Good to know.
Better than being on a different flight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's an easy solution for travel.
Yeah.
I got a question. How often does the battery have to be changed? Will you be notified? And then also, is anybody using these for their wallet? I have had several times where the wallet slipped out of my back pocket for wrong reason. It was too small pocket or whatever, and then I'm in a panic to find it. But I've always thought they were a little bit too thick for a wallet. Does anybody use it for a wallet?
I have not myself, but
There are
less
alternatives.
than a third of an inch thick.
Yeah, that's pretty thick for a wallet.
Isn't there
There are credit card ones, shaped
Credit
ones
card.
out there. They're not AirTags, but there are other companies that make them, and it's just like a credit card that you can just stick in your wallet.
Yeah. And to answer your first question, everything I've seen said the battery lasts about a year.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I
They do notify you when they get low.
Yeah.
bought a set of four. I gave my wife one to put in her car and one in my car, and I kept them. And I didn't pull the little plastic off the other ones until I felt I had a need for it. And then, so they're kind of staggered out. And I just you change the battery by putting them between your hands and rotating about a quarter of a turn, and that's how they open up. They're kind of I don't know how I forget how the openings up. Let's see. Oh yeah, so they're pretty easy to get it to, and like you said, they're. I think I paid a lot more than $5 for four of them.
No, 65 is what he said.
No, I meant for the batteries.
You're talking about the battery, yeah.
Battery.
I've also seen, by the way, I mean, you may not want to go out and replace your wallet, but I have literally seen wallets made around these, around AirTags, like they're made to fit, or there's a special compartment or something out there. So there's a lot of accessories, and I wish I could remember. I was just looking just last week at a company that had, like I said, it's a real slim, like size of a credit card, air tracker that you would just slide into a credit card slot. But for the life of me, off the top of my head, I can't remember who it is. But if you do a search for that, I'm sure there are multiple companies that make those. So that's another solution for the wallet.
That work with the Find My app as well, you think?
Yes. In fact, I remember reading they said it works with Find My and all that. So that's going to drive me
I got to
crazy.
get one of those. I've misplaced my wallet a couple times, and it's almost as bad as losing your phone, or maybe worse, I guess.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised that Apple ends up buying that company.
Yeah. And I'm hoping it will come to me what the company is that I was just seeing these that's bothering me now, that I can't, think of who it is because I get their emails. I'm on their email list, and
I don't know what it would cost, but I'd probably pay $50 for it for the anxiety that I've had on a couple of times.
Sure. No, it's a great idea. I mean, because I thought of that originally, like with that, it's like, oh yeah, you just slide that into your like a credit card in your wallet, and so. But yeah, they're real handy. So, thanks, Steve.
Bitte schön.
All right. Should we talk about the captchas now?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that. So, I'm gonna make sure I got this ready to share with you guys. Now I lost sorry. Couldn't find where my Zoom was. All right, I am going to share. You guys see that?
Yep.
Well, I got to get this out of the way. Okay, so
there's a flat AirTag on Amazon for $30 right now.
Okay.
25% off. So just search for flat iTag.
All right, so I'll give Steve the credit for this because he found this video about how as you can see, the title is "Fake CAPTCHAs Are Taking Over the Internet." here's how to spot them. Do you all know what a CAPTCHA is?
Yeah, it's a quiz looking for artificial intelligence.
So a CAPTCHA, if you guys have gone to something and you see like little thing that says, find the bicycles in here, and you got to click on the stupid
Bridges,
thing. Yeah,
buses.
whatever it may be, and
Picture.
it's trying to detect that you're a human and you're not a bot. And so now there are fake ones. So Steve found this video, and we thought this would be something we wanted to share with you guys. So I'm gonna, and there you can see it was done by Digital Footprint, and it is on YouTube, and I'll show you this here.
CAPTCHAs. These annoying tests are everywhere. You can't get into any website anymore without them. And they're asking for all kinds of different things now. Sometimes they have you select traffic lights, other times it's crosswalks. There's even those that you have to like rotate the object or whatever. I hate those. But some look like this. They ask you to type some commands on your keyboard. Except this is not a CAPTCHA, it's a scam. And I need to warn you about it. I was working on a longer video when I somehow stumbled on a website with one of these fake CAPTCHAs. I immediately got scam vibes from it, so I started doing some digging, and turns out these fake CAPTCHA scams are on the rise. But let's back up a second. Why do we even have CAPTCHAs in the first place? Well, back in the late 90s, hackers found a way to make bots that can spam forums and comment sections with fake links and advertisements. These bots could mass create a bunch of accounts to overload the system, causing it to shut down.
There were people who were writing programs to abuse different web services, and there was no easy way to stop them. And the idea was there should be a test that is really quick that humans can pass but computers could not.
So Louis von Ahn made these tests called, hold on, I have to read this on my notes, completely automated public Turing tests to tell computers and humans apart. Or CAPTCHA. The first type of these tests look like distorted text that only a human can figure out. If you could read the distorted text, congratulations, you're a real human. By the way, Louis was also the inventor of Duolingo, so thanks, Louis. The tests Louis made prevented bots from being able to spam websites. But the bots kept getting smarter. So we had to keep up by making the CAPTCHAs harder. That's why CAPTCHAs today are basically a full-time job with how long they take to figure out. But we keep taking them because we know they keep us safe from bots. And that's where hackers found an opportunity. They realized people trust CAPTCHAs. So now they're making fake ones to trick you into clicking. Here's how it works. You land on a sketchy website and a CAPTCHA pops up randomly. It looks normal, so you click, I'm not a robot. Sometimes it asks you to do extra stuff like typing commands on your keyboard. And just like that, you installed malware on your machine. Or worse, it takes you to a login that looks exactly like Google or your bank. You type in your password, and now they have access to your account. These CAPTCHA scams are booming, leaving lots of people hacked with malware. So how do you know if a CAPTCHA is fake or not? Well, here's some red flags. First, CAPTCHAs don't just appear randomly. If you're not signing up or logging in somewhere, you don't need a CAPTCHA. So if one just randomly pops up on some blog, be suspicious. Also, if the CAPTCHA isn't on a trusted site with a legit URL, don't click it. A CAPTCHA tests user behavior, so it shouldn't be asking you for your login info. If it does, that's also not a real CAPTCHA. And obviously, if something starts downloading after you do a CAPTCHA test, close your tab immediately and call a cybersecurity specialist. This scam is spreading fast, and it works because no one questions a CAPTCHA. So now that you know that hackers have found a way to fake these tests too, keep an eye out. And make sure to share this video with friends and family. The last thing we want is a random grandma to fall victim to this. I'll be back with a full deep dive soon. I just wanted to get this out as soon as possible. If you guys want to stay updated on the next release, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
I like the random grandma there. I've watched that video a couple times and I chuckle at that. I don't know why, but so Steve, thanks for finding this video and bringing it to our attention. You know, I always try to kind of alert you guys sometimes in my goodies of scams and things out there. And so I haven't encountered this yet. Has anybody encountered a scam like this? Okay, well, good.
Not currently, but
Yeah. But anyway, it's just something to be aware of that, if it's asking you to do a login or do some key commands or things like that, do not do that stuff. By the way, the other thing I added on to this that I thought would
CAPTCHAs.
be helpful, you can skip having to do this on your Apple devices. So a few years ago, Apple introduced a feature called automatic verification. And what it does is it allows your device through iCloud, using iCloud, to bypass challenges automatically because it's privately verifying your account. And I've had this on for a while now. And I would say only a couple times have I seen CAPTCHAs since I did this. It's automatically taking care of this for you. So if you go to your settings, click on, your account name there in settings and go to sign in and security, you will see, if you scroll down, you'll see something called automatic verification. And so you just click on that and then it'll take you to the automatic verification screen and you just click that on. And once you do that, this is what it looks like on your iPhone and your iPad. It should now, I'm not going to tell you it's going to do it 100% of the time. Since I've had it on, like I said, I mean, over the last year or more, I've seen a CAPTCHA maybe only a couple times. So that's how you do it on the iPhone and the iPad. And this is what it looks like on your Mac. You go to your settings, do the same thing, go to sign in and security, and then you will see, if you scroll down there, you'll see the automatic verification and just click that on. So that's how you turn this on your devices.
I just looked at my own phone and it was on. I'm sure I didn't do it, so it might be on by default.
Possible. I don't know. So again, that's how you do it on the iPhone and the iPad. If you guys want to take a quick screenshot of this, we'll of course have the PDF of this presentation of this stuff up. And then that's how you do it on the Mac. So hopefully that will save you the hassle. There's nothing worse than not just one CAPTCHA. I don't know how many of you, there are times I've gotten like 3 or 4 of them and I'm just like, is this ever going to end? And it's so annoying. By the way, how many of you knew that CAPTCHA was an acronym?
No, I didn't know the meaning of that.
Yeah.
And by the way, how many of you remember the acronym? There are a lot of acronyms I know. This is not one that I remember. All right. So the next thing I want to show you guys tonight, I've got another little, well, I'll tell you what, Ron, let's do this. I'm going to stop my share. Do you want to talk to them about the stuff you were going to talk to? And then if we've got time, I'll come back to this thing because mine is a little longer. And if not, we'll throw it into next month. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I just have a brief thing about tvOS and watchOS 26 that we really didn't cover last month when it first came out. And whoops, got a chair. Okay, do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we saw this last time, which watchOS and all the features that Apple says is new for the watchOS 26. But I have a video that kind of determines that.
All right, so we are here at Apple's campus in California for
I did want to say this guy talks really, really fast because he does it in 6 minutes. So
all right.
WDC. So this is their worldwide developer conference where they announce all the new software features that are coming for the year for Mac, iPad, iPhone, as well as, of course, Apple Watch. So first up, they've actually changed the way they named watchOS. So last year it was watchOS 11. Before that, it was watchOS 10, 9, 8, so on. But this year it's watchOS 26 to align with the year 2026. And I know it's 2025 right now, but they're basically making it like cars where they're basically naming after next model year. Anyhow, with watchOS 26, they refreshed the user interface interface. There's also new ways of interacting with Apple Watch. And there's also some fitness features, including new Workout Buddy feature, as well as some pretty welcome updates to the Workout app itself. All right, so first up, let's talk about how we actually interact with Apple Watch. So they've now made these smart stacks smarter, where it's supposed to dynamically update based on your location. So an example they gave is like, let's say you arrive at the gym, the Workout app should just appear right at the top of your smart stack. And then another example they gave us with the Backtrack app, where that'll just appear at the top of your smart stack if you get into a location where there's like no cell phone service. And then another new capability they've added is a new wrist flick feature, where you'll be able to close the smart stack just with like a quick wrist flick. And you'll also be able to do other things like close notifications, mute calls, as well as silence alarms. So basically extending the double tap feature a little bit with a new wrist flick feature. It's not just all about interacting with your Apple Watch. They've also brought some new features of how you actually interact with other people. So there's now live translations on the Apple Watch, where all you have to do is raise your wrist to enable live translations instead of you having to like whip out your phone. Another new feature coming to Apple Watch, which is something that I'm particularly excited about, is the Notes app. Voice memos are definitely convenient, but just having the Notes app on the Apple Watch itself is just going to be a lot more convenient. And they've also made some enhancements to notifications, where it should dynamically adjust the volume based on your location. So let's say you're in like a loud coffee shop or something like that and you can't hear your notifications. It should dynamically adjust the volume based on your location. And they've also introduced a refreshed user interface they're calling Liquid Glass, which takes a lot of inspiration from their Vision Pro, where there's supposed to be a lot of glass-like elements all throughout the interface, where there's going to be like reflections on the edges and stuff like that. But not only that, these elements should actually dynamically shift based on your touches and your swipes. All right, so for the Workout app, they're actually introducing some pretty big updates to the Workout interface, as well as a pretty interesting new feature called Workout Buddy. All right, so when it comes to the changes to the user interface, so instead of having that workout stack or workout profiles that we had before, there's now going to be this new full screen view, which actually has this kind of like 4-corner layout with your most recently used or most commonly used workout profile right there on the screen. And it's really all about organizing a lot of the stuff that you usually would access in the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner to all these 4 different locations. So in the upper left-hand icon, so this is going to be stuff like your workout settings, like your workout data pages, as well as your workout data fields. And then in the upper right-hand corner, these are going to be your workout experiences. So these are going to be stuff like your custom workouts, as well as stuff like race routes. And then on the lower left-hand corner, this is going to be where you'll access your media and music. And then on the lower right-hand corner, this is going to be stuff for alerts, as well as the new Workout Buddy feature. Now, all the options in the upper left-hand corner, as well as the right-hand corner, should be pretty familiar to you in terms of the workout data fields, as well as your like workout experiences. But it's really the stuff on the lower left and lower right that are new. So with the new music and media controls, so these are kind of interesting, where it not only gives you faster access to your music when you first start a workout, but it's actually a lot smarter as well. So what it can do now is that it can actually suggest Apple Music that you played before during different workout types. So let's say you like had a particular playlist that you use for running. We'll actually suggest that one for running. And then same thing goes for something like weight training, where if you listen to a different playlist, it'll suggest something just for weight training. But it's not just that. Let's say your playlist is getting a little bit stale or something like that. You can actually choose this pick for you option, and it can automatically suggest music based on your particular workout type from Apple Music. And then on the lower right-hand corner, this is where you'll be able to access the alerts that we've had before, but also the new Workout Buddy feature. So with the Workout Buddy feature, what they're doing is bringing Apple Intelligence to the workout experience by basically giving you like motivation during your particular workouts. And the feedback that's providing isn't just based on the particular workout that you're doing at the moment, but also your workout history. So there's basically 3 parts to Workout Buddy. So there's going to be an announcement at the beginning of your workout, during your workout, as well as the end of your workout. So at the beginning of your workout, it could say something like you've already burned X amount of calories for the day, or maybe you hit like half your move goal.
Great job starting your run. This is your second run this week. You're crushing it, closing that move ring for 6 straight days. Let's keep building on that with your run today. Fueled by some house vibes from Muramasa.
And then during the middle of your workout, so this is going to be where it may announce like different milestones or breakthroughs. And it's basically going to be extending the kind of like split announcements that I have right now, where it could say something like you just hit the like fastest 2nd mile split ever or something like that.
4 miles down. Your last mile was your fastest yet, coming in at 8 minutes and 56 seconds. Your average heart rate for that split was 157 beats per minute.
And then at the end of your workout, it'll kind of give a summary of what you've done on your workout and maybe like any milestones that you achieved.
You just crushed your 100th mile for running workouts this year. Keep up the great work.
Now, Workout Buddy isn't necessarily a coach per se, but more like an actual buddy that'll give you motivation, where it's basically designed to help you break through different key moments during your workout. And you'll be able to hear Workout Buddy through a pair of Bluetooth headphones, and not just AirPods, by the way, any Bluetooth headphones, but it won't work through the Apple Watch speaker. And the other question you may have is, what if I don't want a workout buddy? Well, don't worry. You can actually customize the workout buddy experience where you can actually enable it and disable it for particular workout times. Now, even though this workout buddy feature isn't necessarily coaching, it is kind of interesting that they are using your training history and your workout history to generate these insights. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see where they take it from here. So all these features have been announced today, and they're first going to be available to developers and then a public beta later on, and then usually a full rollout with the Apple hardware announcements that happen in the fall. But definitely stay tuned for my longer term thoughts about all these features, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel to get a notification when those videos come out. And if you found the information in this video to be useful, do me a favor, just quickly hit that like button. And in the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.
Whoa, I know he talks fast. And the other thing we talked about is what tvOS 26, which again is some of Apple's designs here. And here's a little video with that.
Here is everything new with Apple TV in tvOS 26. Real quick, if you want to keep up to date with the latest Apple news and reviews, hit that subscribe button. So tvOS 26, S26, is launching this fall, but I'm going to walk you through an early look at all of the new features. Let's get into it. Starting out just like with my CarPlay video, we're getting a liquid glass redesign. The top feature bar is now clear, showing off the content behind it and reflecting the light as the photos and videos change. There are new icons that basically mimic the ones on iPhones and iPad. You can see the changes in the playback bar as well as the updated control center. I think it looks good, though perhaps not as drastic as it is on iPhone, iPad, and Mac. I will note the new UI only applies to the second and third generation Apple TV 4K. Older models will still retain the older aesthetic. The Apple TV app has gotten a bit of a refresh, showing new designs for both the watch list and recommendations. The watch list shows either the artwork or a frame from the episode, like before, but has a new layout for the information. On the bottom of each tile, you'll see whether you're resuming or jumping to the episode. There's a new badge on the top left corner. It shows how long it is and how much is remaining, plus the episodic information and where it will be watched from. Recommendations below now use vertical artwork instead of landscape, which takes up less space, horizontally at least. Beyond the UI, Apple is making profiles more noticeable. They've been around, but not overly used. Now you can optionally have the profile show every time the Apple TV wakes up. Your Apple TV profile is tied to things like your personalized watch list queue, photos, and the music library. Not to mention your phone, but more on that in a moment. Developers can tie into these profiles too, doing things like moving to your personal Hulu or Netflix profiles, but they've so far been reluctant to do so. Perhaps this will encourage them to adopt them. Let me know in the comments if you use the profiles on Apple TV now or not. Speaking of logins, Apple will now sync your app logins with your Apple ID. What this means is that when you are setting up a new Apple TV, it'll automatically log you into apps based on the ones you already have tied to your account. Should definitely help simplify the process and is easily one of the biggest frustrations with set-top boxes. No one wants to sign in to 15 different streaming apps. The music app has gotten a bit of an upgrade with some minor UI tweaks and new features. For example, there is live lyric translation when playing back music in other languages with the lyric view open. Plus, there's a new karaoke feature. When I covered the last major tvOS update, I literally made the thumbnail a picture of me pretending to sing into my iPhone. Now Apple has made that an actual feature. When you go into Apple Music Sing mode, which is a tab at the top of the music app, you can optionally pair your iPhone by scanning a QR code. This opens a new Sing interface on your iPhone with a mute toggle and reaction emojis. Your voice through your iPhone gets amplified through the TV speakers, like a literal karaoke machine. While singing, others can keep an eye on their phones and tap those reaction emojis that show up on the screen to encourage you. This one is another feature locked behind new hardware though. It's only supported on the Apple TV 4K 3rd gen. That box was released almost 3 years ago at this point, so it's likely we'll see some new hardware soon. If you're interested in what we may see, be sure to check out my Rumor Roundup video that I've linked here for you. Also, for better or for worse, Apple has added a Sing app icon to the home screen, which just jumps you directly to the Sing tab. You can't remove it or hide it though, so I know some users will be annoyed by that. There aren't necessarily any new screensavers with this update, but Apple does allow more control over them. You can choose exactly which of the aerial screensavers you want to see instead of just turning off entire categories. In FaceTime, it now supports a bunch of new things. You'll see incoming call notifications. There are contact posters when starting a FaceTime call, and live captions. These live captions, which are also supported on iPhone, iPad, and Mac, are supported in French, German, Korean, Japanese, Mandarin, and Spanish here at launch. With all these FaceTime improvements, it really seems like Apple is prepping the new Apple TV with a camera built in. Hopefully we see soon. There are plenty of under-the-hood benefits here too, like how you can pair any AirPlay speakers with the Apple TV permanently, not just HomePods. This has been a frequently requested feature. There's also direct pass-through audio support. The Apple TV can send unchanged audio directly to an external speaker or receiver. Then we have Dolby Atmos 9.1.6 support, which adds support for front wide channels and 2 more additional overhead channels. If you have a setup like that, this will be crazy cool to watch content with. For the smart home user, Apple is supporting Thread 1.4. This has a lot of improvements on the stability and reliability of Thread. For users, it allows Thread networks from different manufacturers and platforms to all join together instead of creating multiple Thread networks in your home. Also allows for internet access for accessories. It could theoretically allow your light to change based on a sports score or your air purifier to beef up when the outdoor weather is bad. I've got a bunch of Thread accessories in the home, like shades, locks, light bulbs, switches, plugs, and more. It's becoming really great. It's a lot better, in my opinion, than Bluetooth for battery-powered accessories. The craziest thing here may be that tvOS 26 actually still supports the Apple TV HD. This device is now 10 years old at this point. I believe it is the longest supported Apple device right now. And it gets quite a few of these new features, only missing out on things like the sing-along feature and the new UI. Let me know which of these new features you like and which ones you'd still like to see Apple implement. I think Apple is cooking right now, and I'm willing to bet there'll be a whole lot more sooner rather than later. Stay tuned to the channel, and I'll be sure to keep you up to date. I'll see you all in the next video.
Okay, that's it.
That was very nice.
Yeah. I'm actually excited for some of those features. I don't know how many of you are big Apple TV users, but we have them all over our house. So
I only have
don't
one,
know
but
what
I
model I have.
yeah, Alan, that's funny you say that because it's like you can't really tell something from just looking at it. And I'm always like, yeah, I don't know which model it is I have in this room or that room, but I've got 4 of them in my house, so I'm using them constantly. So I'm always excited for Apple TV updates. All right. Well, Ron, my thing is definitely too long. That's why I said let's get your stuff in because it's much more kind of relevant time-wise. And we can come back to my other feature next month.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions about anything we presented tonight?
No, more
All
things
right.
we need.
Well, I think a lot of useful information. And like I said, as just a reminder, if you are in the market for any Apple devices, there are a bunch of stuff on Amazon for their Prime Days this week that I've seen some nice discounts on stuff. And, it's not often you see that with Apple stuff. So you might check that out on Amazon.
Can I announce to everybody that our website is not currently working, and hopefully Alan will get it
Yeah,
adjusted.
we need to send that email in, and we probably need to pay for the previous month on that company that took over for Mac Highway. Then we can get it transferred.
Yeah, but that doesn't, if you go to our website, it doesn't say anything. You can't get to our website at all.
Yeah. Well, we can probably log into the account though.
Yep.
I'll go talk to you. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Ron. I think.
Please.
Yeah, my wife's having surgery.
Oh, sorry.
And I think I'm okay with my pancreatic cancer for another year. We'll see.
Well, good luck to both of you.
Yeah, well, I'll have more trouble with her surgery. She's going to be flat on her back for a couple weeks. Amazing what wives do around here that you don't ever pay attention.
All right. Well, I guess we are done for tonight then, guys, and we'll see everybody in August.
And hopefully I'll have an update to our website somehow.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Huh.